Hello everyone and welcome to Victoria's Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Hasbro Jurassic World Bashers and Biters Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now this is the last dinosaur in the Bashers and Biters assortment that I have yet to review. And initially I wasn't going to pick it up, but Kmart last week ran a sale on these dinosaurs, $5.99, which is a really good price. Regular price was $9.99. And, of course, Walmart's been carrying them for $7.88 all along. But for $6, I couldn't pass it up. I had been waiting for the green repaint of this figure that's going to be coming out. But I thought, hey, if I got this one for $6, I would be able to compare it to the green one for you when that one's released. So as you can see, the packaging for it is the same thing we have been seeing for the Jurassic World dinosaur toy line. And it's the same as all the other Bashers and Biters figures. Back of the box gives us a look at the toy, and then it says Tyrannosaurus Rex, a ferocious fight for survival. All right, you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and take our T-Rex out of the box, and we will get a closer look at the chomping attack and at the details on the toy, and see how it stacks up as far as the Jurassic World toy line goes. All right, you guys, so here's our T-Rex out of the box. As you can see, it's not too bad. Proportionately speaking, the head is quite large. In fact, it's way too large for what it should have been. But I don't think it's horrendous. It's certainly not accurate, and it's certainly not anything wondrous. But I don't think it's too bad. It definitely has a very junior T-Rex look to it, though. It is quite small and almost looks quite juvenile in appearance, as if this might be a very young Tyrannosaurus Rex. Unfortunately, we do get those unsightly screw holes, but that's certainly been the norm for most of the Hasbro Jurassic World dinosaur toys. This one also shares the aesthetic with the chomping T-Rex that we looked at previously, and I will bring that one in just a moment so we can compare them. Alright, you guys, here's a look at the head close up. It ain't terrible. I mean, it doesn't look great. Ain't gonna sugarcoat it here. All the breaks in the skin there because of the action feature kind of disrupt the overall look. I don't think the head is really that bad. One thing you will notice is that the jaw is a little bit misaligned. Like it kind of has something that we also saw with the chomping T-Rex where, the bottom jaw is kind of a little bit dislocated looking. You see it kind of goes off to his left just a little bit. It's not on perfectly straight. This seems to be the way that most of these Bashers and Biters T-Rex figures are, though. Just very unfortunate quality from, Hasbro. I don't know if it's a quality control issue or an engineering issue, but most of them seem to be like that. But I mean, all in all, the paint on the head's pretty good. I just wish that they would have carried the look of that all the way through to the bottom. In the mouth, you do get some detail on the roof. You can see the tongue looks really nice. Sits a little bit far back in the mouth, though, I think. You get very teeny tiny arms. In fact, they look like those little shrimps that you get like in those frozen dinners. And sometimes when they include like little itty bitty shrimps, like in pastas and such, kind of look like that. And you get dino damage. I'm not really a fan of dino damage. It doesn't look that great. Jurassic World branding on the leg. All in all, the detail isn't terrible, I don't think. It very much reminds me of the chomping T-Rex, the way that they did that. Like even on the chomping T-Rex, the leg had a lot more like detail than the rest of the body, and that kind of seems to be the case here. But it is sculpted. Okay. You do see a lot of nice things about it here. Some scales and lines, and it looks like a vein or something. Underside of the dino, it's a little bit lighter in color. Overall, pretty natural paint scheme to it, and they did a pretty nice job blending the color downward. The legs look pretty good. Feet are pretty nice. They did paint the claws on the bottom, which is good, but not on the top arms. And, you get the lettering there on the tail, detailing all the good information, which, is kind of unsightly. The tail does look a little bit skinny from the top. I think it should definitely have more girth to it. But from the side, it looks pretty good. Now, the T-Rex does have articulation at the arms. You can move them, and you can move the legs as well. And it does seem to stand rather well, not having any issues with standing. Now, to activate the action features, just like with what we saw with the other dinos, you will use the tail to manipulate the action features. Firstly, we're going to pull the tail down, and that raises its head. And then if we pull it sideways, it moves its head over a little bit, and it opens the mouth. You know, like with all of these figures, you are going to want to test out your dino in the store and make sure it works well. This one works. I've seen better, but I've also seen worse. You know, it's just hit and miss, really. Quality control across the board for the action features isn't all that great. I'm a little bit disappointed in, you know, the quality control on Hasbro's end or the factory's end or whatever. But, you know, I think the action feature here works okay. It's just, you know, you just be sure and test your dino out before you buy it. All the other dinos that we've reviewed in this lineup seem to work pretty well. This one's just a little bit strange for whatever reason. Here's a comparison of the Bashers and Biters T-Rex on the bottom with the Chomping T-Rex right above it. As you can see, they are quite similar in appearance. In fact, some elements of the sculpting are quite similar, like the arms, the curvature of the tail, and even the positioning of the legs is pretty similar. The paint schemes also are pretty much identical. The patterns on the heads are about the same, and the lack of any striping along the back or the tail is also a shared feature between both of the figures. Considering that the Bashers and Biters one regularly retails, you know, from $8 to $10, and the Chomping one retails from about 17 to 20, I think the Chomping one is a better way to go if you're kind of in between the two of them. You know, it's a lot bigger, it's nicer looking, you don't have the ugly screw holes, and I'm pretty pleased with it. It's a very toy-like T-Rex, but all in all, I think Hasbro did a nice job with the sculpting on it, and, you know, if you're going to pick between the two, definitely get the bigger Chomping T-Rex. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Jurassic World Bashers and Biters Tyrannosaurus Rex. All in all, it ain't bad. I certainly do think that this is the weakest of the Bashers and Biters assortment. But, you know, if you're collecting the lineup and you want to get all these figures because they're inexpensive and it's an easy way to get, you know, several Jurassic World dinosaur toys, then go for it. I think the aesthetic of it is all right. I'm not hugely impressed with the oversized head and the dislocated jaw. I think those are, you know, drawbacks to the figure. Sculpting and detailing on it is okay. Paintwork on it is pretty good. Action feature seems to be all right. It just doesn't work all that well on my particular figure. So, you know, again, do test them out. So again, if you're collecting this line, you know, you are going to want to have a T-Rex. Otherwise, remember that Hasbro is repainting this one in a green paint scheme with the same head striping pattern. So if you want to wait for that one is going to be coming out probably pretty soon. I will be getting that one as well and then comparing them for you. And it also looks like this one might be available in the play set that's coming out later this fall that has some of the electric fences and the Jurassic World door. And then, of course, there's the larger Chomping T-Rex that I compared for you with this one. And then we also have the Stomp and Strike T-Rex coming later this fall, which is supposed to be kind of like the granddaddy T-Rex of this whole Jurassic World line. So you definitely have options in terms of T-Rexes for the Jurassic World line. If you kind of want to wait and see how it plays out once the Stomp and Strike comes out, then, you know, just hold off. I don't think any of these are going to be that hard to get. Though there does seem to be a bit of a surge right now since the movie came out. T-Rexes and Indominuses in particular seem to be in pretty short supply right now. But all in all, it's not terrible. It's just not particularly that good either. All right, you guys, stay tuned. We do have a review of the new Mosasaurus from the Jurassic World lineup coming probably early next week once I receive the item. I'm going to do one more Jurassic World video and talk a little bit about the film and the toy line thus far. And then we will move on to the Star Wars Black Series 3 3/4 inch figures that I promised. All right, you guys, thanks for watching Victoria's Cantina. Till next time. Bye-bye.